Hey everyone and welcome. I am literally so excited to have you here for today's explainer. We've got a fascinating topic lined up that I know a ton of you have been asking about. Today, our goal is simple, but man, is it powerful. We are going to solve the mystery of exactly how and how much YouTube pays creators in 2026. If you've ever looked at a successful channel and wondered how much cash is actually hitting their bank account every month, you are in the perfect place. We're going to look right under the hood, decode the platform's financial black box using real 2026 data, and show you the exact math behind a modern digital empire. All right, let's dive right into it.
So what is 1 million views actually worth in 2026? Honestly, it's the most common question in the whole creator economy. And usually people expect a totally straightforward answer, right? Like, oh, 1 million views equals $1,000. Well, I'm here to completely shatter that illusion. There is absolutely no guaranteed payout. The reality of YouTube monetization is completely hidden inside this black box. You could literally have two creators upload the exact same number of videos, pull in the exact same view count, and yet one is struggling to pay for their morning coffee while the other is buying real estate. It's wild. Let's see how this builds into something truly shocking.
I mean, just look at the sheer magnitude of the gap here. On the left, you've got a faceless gaming channel making about $400 for 1 million views. But then on the right, a faceless finance channel is pulling in $40,000 for the exact same 1 million views. Let that sink in for a second. They're on the exact same platform, putting in the same production time, getting the exact same amount of eyeballs, but the finance channel is making 100 times more money. It's just a shocking contrast, isn't it? If you don't understand why this happens, you're essentially gambling with your time and effort.
All right, let's move into Section 1, the mechanics, unlocking the black box.
Okay, so how does a pay gap that massive even happen? Well, to figure it out, we've got to look at the underlying machinery of YouTube's advertising engine. It really all boils down to two highly specific metrics that dictate every single dollar moving through the platform. And honestly, if you want to treat content creation like a real business, these two metrics need to become your absolute best friends. The first one is CPM, or cost per mil. Simply put, this is the amount advertisers spend to display 1,000 ad impressions on your content. CPM is driven entirely by advertiser demand. It's basically what the open market is willing to pay to reach your specific audience. So if you've got an audience that advertisers desperately want to sell high-ticket products to, your CPM shoots up. It's a great indicator of market value, but, and this is a huge but, CPM is not the money that actually goes into your pocket. It's just the starting point of the transaction.
And that brings us to the second, and honestly far more important metric, RPM, or revenue per mil. This is your actual take-home pay per 1,000 views. The crucial thing to remember here is that RPM is always going to be lower than CPM. Why? Because it accounts for YouTube taking its standard 45% cut off the top, and it also factors in the views where absolutely no ads were shown at all. When you're digging into your analytics and trying to figure out your actual income, RPM is the only metric that really matters. It's the ultimate truth teller of creator income.
Moving right along to Section 2, the big levers, niche and geography.
So we know what CPM and RPM are, but what's actually pulling the strings here? Why does one channel get a massive RPM while another gets absolute pennies? Well, according to the 2026 data we're looking at today, there are two massive levers you can pull: what your content is actually about, your niche, and where your viewers live, your geography. Let's start with niche. This is real 2026 RPM data, folks. Up at the top, credit cards and finance are boasting an incredible $25 to $45 RPM. A little further down, tax strategy sits at $15 to $28, true crime at $8 to $13, and then way down at the bottom, gaming compilations are sitting at a pretty painful $2 to $4. Why the huge difference? Because if you are watching a credit card comparison is likely an adult getting ready to apply for a financial product. But if you are watching a gaming compilation, they're often a younger demographic just looking for entertainment, where advertisers are maybe pitching a $2 mobile game. The customer value is drastically different, so the advertiser bids just reflect that reality.
Now, I really want to pause on this massive number. $65. In 2026, this is the peak CPM we're seeing for the absolute highest end of the finance and investing niche. That is what advertisers are paying YouTube just to put ads in front of 1,000 viewers. You might be wondering, why on earth are they willing to burn that much cash? It's because credit card companies and brokerages will gladly bid aggressively when an approved application or a newly funded account earns them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in lifetime value. For them, it's just simple math. Your content is essentially acting as a highly targeted lead generator for multi-billion-dollar industries.
But here's a really cool, kind of surprising fact about niches. They aren't static.
Some niches are incredibly seasonal. Take tax strategy content, for example. It actually experiences extreme seasonal RPM spikes. While it might average around $15 to $28 for most of the year, during Q1, so January through April, it surges past $35. Millions of people are suddenly online, frantically searching for filing deductions, and tax software companies just flood the ad market with cash. It literally creates a temporary revenue goldmine for creators who plan their content calendars around it.
Let's shift over to our second massive lever. As the saying goes, geography is the single biggest RPM lever, creating a 5 to 15x difference. And wow, is this crucial. You could have the most beautifully crafted finance content in the entire world, but the physical location of your audience dictates your earnings just as much as your topic does. Advertisers naturally target their spending based on the purchasing power of the viewer's country. To visually hammer home this pay gap, let's look at the 2026 long-form RPM averages across different regions. Tier 1 countries like the United States pull in average RPMs of $5 to $15, and the UK sits right behind that at $4 to $11. But contrast that with a Tier 3 country like India, where the RPM drops to somewhere between 30 cents and $1.50. Think about it. It is the exact same video, but a US audience yields significantly higher ad bids simply because of their relative purchasing power. So if your goal is high ad revenue, audience geography is just as critical as your niche. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the format wars. Long form versus YouTube Shorts. Right now in 2026, the type of content you make, specifically how long it is, drastically impacts your bank account. The whole creator ecosystem is fundamentally fractured into two very different business models, and understanding how they pay differently is absolutely essential if you want to survive on the platform today. The numbers here are honestly pretty stark. On the left, long-form content brings in an average RPM of $2 to $12. On the right, YouTube Shorts brings in an average RPM of just 3 cents to 10 cents. Yeah, you heard me right, cents. That means a million views on a short might only earn you between 30 and 100 bucks. For years, creators were really hoping Shorts monetization would eventually catch up to long-form, but this 2026 data pretty much confirms a massive, permanent gap between the haves and the have-nots when it comes to format.
So why such a massive disparity? Well, the answer is totally structural. YouTube Shorts uses a pooled revenue model. Instead of paying you for an ad placed directly in front of your video, YouTube pools all the ad money from the entire Shorts feed and distributes it based on your specific share of the total views. On top of that, music licensing costs are deducted before the creator payout even happens. Because it's pooled and heavily split, individual creator RPMs remain at just pennies per thousand views. It's just a completely different economic engine.
But hey, before you completely write off Shorts, consider this. In 2026, Shorts make up a solid 30% of total YouTube watch time, driving over 70 billion daily views. Long-form and live streams make up the other 70%. What this brilliantly illustrates is that Shorts are an absolute powerhouse for reach. Sure, they might not pay the bills directly through AdSense, but they are an essential, high-volume tool for discovering new audiences and funneling them right into your wider business ecosystem. Which actually leads us perfectly into our final concept.
Section 4. The resolution. The real creator business.
We've seen how wildly RPM fluctuates based on your niche, your geography, and your format. If you're relying purely on YouTube's ad engine, you're essentially strapping yourself into a permanent financial roller coaster. The real secret that successful creators know? AdSense is just a baseline. It's a starting point. The real money is in revenue diversification. The pros integrate affiliate marketing, earning hefty commissions for software or credit card referrals. They sell their own digital products and paid courses. They secure direct channel sponsorships. And perhaps most importantly, they build owned email lists. Listen to this. In 2026, an engaged list of just 10,000 subscribers can realistically generate $10,000 to $30,000 a month. These creators don't just rely on platform payouts, they actually own their business.
And honestly, this brings up an incredibly vital point. A $9 RPM education channel that has strong course sales attached to it can easily out-earn a $15 RPM finance channel that is relying purely on ads. Let's connect the dots here. A lower-paying niche on the platform can actually be substantially more profitable overall if you tie it to strong non-ad monetization. You really don't have to chase the absolute highest RPM if you've got a rock-solid business model behind your content.
So let's quickly summarize the playbook for success in 2026. Step 1. Choose a sustainable niche. You got to balance a decent RPM with your own genuine interest because you have to stick with it for the long haul. Step 2. Play the format game wisely. Use Shorts for massive reach and long form for a deeper connection and that AdSense revenue. And Step 3. Build revenue streams beyond just platform payouts.
Your consistency over 12 to 18 months matters far more than just picking the highest possible RPM on day one. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
And that just about wraps up today's explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Ad revenue is just the blueprint. It is not the whole house. Now that this black box is completely open and you know exactly how the mechanics of 2026 YouTube monetization work, how are you going to use this data to build your own digital business? Really think about it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today to decode this awesome topic, and I'll catch you in the next one.